Hello, everybody. Welcome to this bite-sized training. And this is all about using visual aids to support the pupils. That could be inside the class, outside the class, at home, if parents and carers have asked for anything, in the playground, yeah, wherever. I've put a little picture of, this is the Imprint app. This is their front page, just as a bit of a reminder for everybody about using it. Really, there's so much good stuff that you can get on there. I think most people should be familiar with it. If you're not familiar with it, I'm really happy to come and show you kind of what things you can do. You don't have to use symbols. You can have the symbols turned off. You can have the colors and that all turned off to make it kind of more age appropriate. But it's a really good resource that I use quite a lot when I was teaching. So yeah, if you do want me to come and show you, then please drop me an email, come and find me, because I'm more than happy to show people how to do that. Okay, so visually supporting independence. So obviously everything that we do, all the visuals that we make is all about supporting independence for the pupils. And there are many ways we can do that, support them with their time and their structure, as in kind of schedules, if that's needed. Timetables, supporting with step-by-step instructions, such as getting changed, going to the toilet, supporting pupils understand their learning and kind of what is expected of them. So how do we visually display learning objectives? How do they know what it is that they're doing? So we can create task boards and step-by-step instructions. Many more. There's a million things we can do with visuals to support the children and in their independence. This is taken from the AET, which is the Autism Education Trust. So 16 things that they have about what they can do, what you can use visual strategies for. So give information, explain social situations, such as social stories, giving choices, providing structure to the day, such as schedules, teaching routines and new skills, being more independent in the environment, about having maybe things labeled in classes, such as the different areas labeled. And yeah, that links to organising the space in the environment. Supporting transitions can be a really tough one for some of our children. So that can be an interesting one to explore about. We're going to do a bit like now and next boards, I suppose. Staying on tasks. So that would be like your task board. So we're going to do these 4 activities, and when they're in the finish zone, then you're done. Managing your time, communicate rules, assisting students coping with change, again, like social stories, supporting regulation, aiding memory, communicating your emotions. Obviously, we have the zones of regulation in the classrooms, and clarifying verbal information, just kind of like, yeah, because when obviously children with learning difficulties can find too much information hard to process, so about reducing our language and using visuals to support that. So let's get into it. So all these things that I'm going to share with you, I hope that obviously a lot of people are already using this. This is just merely a refresher, and for new staff as well, but a lot of you are already using this stuff. So I hope this doesn't come across patronizing, but just as more of a, oh yeah, that we can use that, or oh yeah, that sounds good, that kind of idea. So time and structure. So these are 3 examples of kind of schedules or individual timetables. So you can have a symbol timetable. And this is obviously for your more lower able children. So you would have like 4, you could either have half day or whole day on there, depending on kind of the ability of the child, and with a little finished post-it packet at the bottom there. So they take off the symbol, when it's done, they pop it in. And it just really obviously supports the children understand where they should be and the kind of the structure of the day. So there isn't too much surprise through their day. Equally, for your more able, you just need that structure written down. You can have a one-to-one, you can have on a whiteboard. I used this quite a lot with the child I taught last year. He was very able reader, but he needed to know what was coming, otherwise behavior could break down and communication could break down. So this just really supported so he knew what was happening, basically. So he knew that if when he did his work, he would have a choose or a break, and then he knew that if he was doing something, he could if he was right, he just always knew when his breaks and choosing time were coming to motivate him. So that worked really well. And then obviously to support kind of transitions, now and next boards are really good. So lunchtime and then going out, or going to the arc and then playtime, or going to read and then going home. So just that, if children are in crisis, or if they're kind of had a bit of a tricky day, these are always quite useful. Or when you're going out and about, just because you can have them on your land yards. And then they can, they're just really mobile if people need, if the children need that kind of structure. Okay, so that's kind of time and structure. Understanding processes and instructions. So these really help children understand what's to be expected when developing like routines. So this is the getting dressed one. So this is obviously for like PE, and I've seen these up in the gym. So I put on my pants, t-shirt, trousers, socks, and you can have another one about getting undressed and changing, going to the toilet. Some of our children obviously are still getting toilet trained. So these really help them understand what is expected of them. And again, supporting that independence. And equally for a more able class, science lesson, for doing circuits or whatever, just the kind of thing, a visual representation of the items that they will need, or the tools that they will need within that lesson. So just really making it really visually clear of what the expectations are of that like new learning or those routines. Yeah. Okay, expectations of learning, to follow on from that. So sometimes children with learning difficulties can really find it really hard to know what's coming. Obviously, like the learning objectives shared, but then what are they supposed to be doing? They don't know what's going to come. So these task boards, I used these quite a lot last year with children with autism, not necessarily for autistic children, no, you could use it for children that just need that structure. And we have a start in red, or if red's a bit of a frightening colour for some children, I mean, it could be any colour really. So what the symbols will be on this side at the start. So when they finish their cutting, that goes to finish. Then they move on to sticking. When they finish their sticking, that goes to finish. And then they're going to be writing. So then after they finish writing, that will go into finish. And then you could have at the bottom a choosing activity or movement break, whatever it is that motivates that child. So that might be for your more, your kind of less able children with the symbols, and for your more able children that still need that structure to support them with expectations of learning, just writing down on a simple sheet like this, you're going to be doing we're going to sit, we're going to do group time, then we're going to do some teaching, then you're going to do an independent task, you're going to do some writing, some reflection, and then movement break. Just keeping it super, super simple, really breaking it down for the children. I mean, you could take these, you could laminate them, and just, so that you're not wasting kind of too much paper. But and equally these can be mobile as well, so they can be taken out of class. Social and emotional understanding. Social stories, I hope everybody has heard of. If not, they were made by Carol Gray back in the 90s, and this is a really effective way of showing children with learning difficulties visually difficult situations, something that might be ambiguous, they might not understand it, and it gives them a really concrete way of hopefully understanding it, and it's something that they can go back to and revisit. And they could also support with daily self-care, help people to cope with changes or anything, something different at home, or a situation that might be coming up in the future. If they're going on holiday, if they're going to an airport, what might they need to do, what might they need to expect. And these, again, you can do these in symbol format on imprint, just to help those that need support with reading, or just writing it out just to support. But these are a really effective way of showing children or supporting them understand in a concrete way difficult situations that might have happened or are going to happen. And all these I'll show you at the end where I'm going to keep everything, but there's going to be examples of these. Understanding play. Now, obviously, a lot of our children find it really difficult. I say children, pupils, obviously we have some older children, older pupils, but some of them can find it really hard to play, and play is where their behaviour can break down. So it's about offering visually different ways of getting them to kind of be independent with their play. So here I've got an example of a choose board. So when it's their break times or their choosing times or golden time, just having a couple of options to support them, because otherwise we don't want children just kind of wandering aimlessly or not really having anything to do. Finding out their interest, supporting them, putting it on a board. Which one of these would you like to do today? And then you could even have a time we're going to do for 5 minutes, and then we're going to do something else. This is from Ladybird's class. This is a really good way of children can independently choose what it is they want to do, really visually clear, and age appropriate with like the Wii's and the Zumba and the laptop. So really age appropriate, but really visually clear and supportive. So yes, so just some different ways that we can support the children with playing. So there's a lot of things. I've kind of crammed a lot in there. All the resources, so everything that's I've shown on here is going to be found on the teacher folder, on the St. Luke's teacher folder, and in resources there's a folder called visual support. Please use these, like please use these as much as you can, and but really think clearly about the child and what you want the outcome of that to be. Does a child need an individual timetable to support with structure? Does a child need a now and next board to support with transitions? Does this child need a breakdown of how to get changed just to support with them that independence? And to be thinking about how is this going to support with this independence? How are we going to get to a place where they can be as independently as possible using these visuals to support? Yeah, so that's the whole idea. If you've got any further questions or any queries, or you want to talk about imprint or any of the resources that I've shown on here, then please drop me an email or come and find me. I'll be more than happy to go through each individual one a bit further. But thanks for listening, and hope to see lots and lots more, because there's loads already, just more visuals going on. Thanks guys, bye-bye.